Alrighty boys, welcome back to another step-by-step video. Now today's video is going to be on the most underappreciated operator in the game, Mr. Rook himself. Now the important thing about Rook, guys, and the important tips that I want you guys to understand is that whenever you're playing operators like Rook, the important thing is to always run some kind of utility or gadget that goes along with whatever bomb site that you're going to be playing. Now, luckily with Rook, we don't have to think too hard when it comes to his actual device of his kit, because you just place on your Rook armor at the beginning of the round. Ideally, you want to do it at the beginning of the round, not later on in the round, because there's literally no merit in doing it later on in the round, because 9 times out of 10, if you put it later on in the round, some of your teammates probably won't even pick it up, and there's no feature in this game right now where you can pick up multiple pieces of Rook armor. I kind of wish they would do that. That would be kind of sick. But right here, we're going to be using proximity alarms on Rook. Now, you don't necessarily need to run proximity alarms. I just like using proximity alarms because I feel like it makes it a little bit easier on this border setup for the top 4 for lockers here. You put some for the office double door, you put one for the office window. Now right here, to get into our first kill of the round, we're going to be holding this east stairs window. I like to hold this at the beginning of the round whenever I have an ACOG, just because a lot of people tend to peek that window early on in the round when they come out of the spawn. So sometimes you can get yourself a free kill there. Now usually what I would do is, if there wasn't already a hole in that window, I would shoot a little hole into it, because sometimes people like to shove their face into it and you can get yourself free kills. Now right here, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to go ahead and rotate over to my dock side, and the reason why I'm doing this here is because they actually did put a little bit of pressure for this lockers wall in this position. And a very common thing that tends to happen, guys, is that if there's only one guy holding the lockers bomb site by himself and they're pushing the main wall, a lot of times they'll get simply overwhelmed. And right here, my teammate's giving me a call out that there's a blitz trying to push for the office double door here. My proxy goes off, so I'm able to swing aggressively to get myself a free kill. The last guy is going to be inside a security / break room here. So all I'm doing here is, once again, we're just going to be pre-firing through the soft wall. Sometimes you can get yourself a free kill. However, I'm just going to keep on ego challenging to finish off the clip here and get the last kill inside a break room right there. And then next up, we're going to be over on Coastline here, guys. And the thing that I do want to quickly talk about, and this isn't really that important, but I feel like it is worth mentioning, is that when you do spawn in, you should put down your Rook armor right away, but you shouldn't put it down right in front of a doorway that can get opened up, if that makes sense. That's why you'll see me run it over to the base, basically, because it's a little bit more safer. So that way, say if one of my teammates, like my Legion for example, goes off towards white stairs for whatever reason, then at least when he comes back to site, he can maybe pick up that Rook armor without having to go all the way into hookah. Now, the one thing that I tended to do a lot when I was playing Rook was that I was shifting between the observation blockers and the proximities. Kind of depends on what you need. I feel like the proximities is good if your team isn't that great at holding specific parts of the map, you know what I mean? So there tends to be gaps there, so that way you can get alerted for it. And then the observation blockers, I think, are also really good if the enemy team tends to do a main type of push where they drone very heavily. And the observation blockers, in my opinion, they give your setup a lot more oomph, if that makes sense. A lot of people are more scared when you have observation blockers on the ground, because then they're gonna have to spend more time droning. They're not just gonna be able to use their drones from far away and be able to get a lot of intel very easily. So it gives you a little bit of more pressure, if that makes, just overall for your site setup, which I really enjoy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this clip a little bit, because long story short, what's going to end up happening is, from this 5v4 position, it's going to turn into a 2v4 position. My whole team is going to end up selling their bodies all over the place. There's going to create a ton of gaps all over the place. There's going to be people outside the hookah balk. There's going to be people trying to push top white side. So I'm going to end up rotating over to the hookah rotate here. Somebody's going to try to walk in, which is going to be the striker. I'm going to end up getting myself a free kill on him because I was already expecting it. And then right here, I actually pre-aim towards the VIP doorway for 90 hallway, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I just expected someone to be trying to go for that route. If you're in a 2v4 position, it's very likely that someone's going to be on that doorway, specifically on the DJ booth thing that's inside of VIP. However, what ended up happening there is that he was just sitting on the door, which made it a very easy kill for me. And then right here, I actually get audio from my teammate, a call out actually, that the last guy is pushing aqua side, so I'm holding this very long angle. Once again, guys, try to make use of the ACOG as much as you can when you are playing operators like this, because it makes your job a lot easier, because this guy wasn't even looking out for me. He tried to slow peek into me, but I ended up getting myself a free kill right there using the ACOG on a super long angle through hookah. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to show the prep phase for this round, but long story short, I ran impacts, and the reason why I ran impacts is because one of the plays that I like to do whenever I do get onto Rook is that I'll usually run impacts to make fast rotates, and the general understanding I want you guys to have here is that fast rotates is important because what ends up happening a lot of the games, like I made blue rotate by the way, and I made the church rotate. Those are the two rotates that I made, blue rotate and church rotate. So these like the ones that I'm right next to right here on mannequin. So the fast rotates, the reason why I think fast rotates are important is because of the fact that when you're solo queue, when you're in a 5-sec, whatever, sometimes people are lazy. You're gonna see there's no rotate in between the back arsenal and church double door like how there usually is for like a default setup. So fast rotates makes it much more likely for your teammates to actually make some rotates, because what ends up happening is if you do it off spawn in like how I did, sometimes people will make the rotates and it'll be all hunky-dory for your site setup. Now, unfortunately, my mute, and I believe I had an Azami and a Goyo here that had impacts as well, but they didn't end up making the rotates, unfortunately. Sometimes it's just how it goes, but the idea of running impacts and making the rotates early like that is so that way, hopefully, that they will actually take the time to do it, because sometimes people will simply not want to make rotates just because it's like very overwhelming to make all of the site setup, you know what I mean? Personally, I don't really have that much of a problem with that because I'm a support-minded player, but, you know, some people are like that. They don't feel like making the rotates. Now, fast rotates aside here, one of the main purposes of me playing Rook on this bomb site is so that way I can play for mannequin and hold the kitchen hatch, specifically on the prone angle that people like to do for mannequin, where this position that I'm currently playing right here. And you saw right there, a Habana tried to peek the hatch, but since I have the ACOG, it's a very bread and butter type of angle for me, so I'm able to get myself a freak onto her. And for context, there's going to be one more guy that's going to actually end up pushing dirt, which is the other reason why I like to play this position with some kind of ACOG, is because it makes it very easy to actually like shut down those approaches if you do have some kind of ACOG. And I do highly recommend playing these type of positions with an ACOG. Now, one thing that's going to end up happening here, and the one thing I do kind of really dislike about this bomb site in particular, is a lot of people like to put Goyos next to the blue door. So what's going to end up happening here in a second is this guy that's inside of dirt is going to actually end up shooting my Goyo, which is going to throw off my position. Right here, we're going to shoot up another guy in the kitchen hatch. That guy's going to end up rotating towards my Echo, and my Echo is going to end up getting the free kill. But right here, like I said, the Goyo gets popped, but I'm going to go ahead and do this nice little off angle here where I pop myself onto the mannequin crate here, or the last crate basically in the triple box formation right here, and it creates like this nice little off angle that a lot of people in dirt usually don't expect. And since I'm at an elevated position, it's very likely that I'm going to get the kill onto that dirt guy than he is for me to get the kill onto me basically. Here's our quick little spawn peek that you guys can do over on border for anybody that tries to walk up the east staircase at the beginning of the round. A lot of times people just don't check this doorway, and even if they do, sometimes they don't even like shoot at you. I don't know what it is, but it's just like very unexpected. I guess it's because like when you come up the staircase, you can see that the barricade is like closed usually, so a lot of people like tend to like, you know what I mean? They tend to like just assume nobody's actually there, but if you crouch and peek it, like how I did in that clip right there, you might be able to get yourself a free kill on anybody walking up. Now, the next clip here, we're going to be over on Chalet. We're going to be playing inside of Master. Now, the general idea with the setup that I'm going for here is that I am going to be playing for the Master for the main wall to get opened up, and then I want to hold the main wall from bed, basically, and basically try to shut down anybody who tries to jump in for the default plant. Now, one thing I want to quickly clarify with the impact that I used at the beginning of this clip for the Master rotate is that the idea that I look for is that I also want to be able to hold K9, and if the wall is like sticking out like a little bit with like the non-reinforced soft wall, it's like kind of awkward to play the position that I want to play. So that's why I like to get rid of that completely, because a lot of people tend to not do it, and I do feel like it creates like a lot of these weird angles. Like for example, this angle wouldn't have existed unless I used that impact from earlier, and also swinging K9 would also be very awkward if I didn't get rid of that soft wall that was stuck on the reinforcement. So that's why we used that impact at the beginning of the round. Now right here, like I said guys, the main goal that we're looking for in this position is to shut down anybody that tries to walk in for the main wall. They only open up the right side here, so we're going to hold this little bomb angle that is next to the bed in this position, and we're just going to be waiting for anybody to try to peek the breach right here. We're going to pre-fire a whole mag after we see someone right here, get ourselves a free kill, and there's actually going to be a dasher that's going to end up trying to walk up my solar staircase. He's going to punch out the barbed wire and then just try to walk up to try to get a kill onto me. but we're going to end up getting the kill onto him. And then right here, there was a buck bucking below in this position, so I went down solar stairs to look to see if that guy would try to swing me for a refrag. Unfortunately for me, he's going to end up rotating away, which is bad for us because it's going to create some gaps in our setup. Right here is a nice little angle for K9 door, by the way. I highly recommend that punch hole. It's very, very, very strong. Now right here, we're going to see someone on the main wall again, so we know there's at least one guy outside the main wall, which is the Twitch. And then the buck actually rotated over towards Piano. He created a gap for Piano because he killed my Piano pressure, so we know there's at least one guy Piano in this position. Twitch is K9, Buck is Piano. There's one more guy. Ash actually hops in the Piano window here. I'm going to go ahead and swing aggressively and kill both of them. And then the last guy is going to be the Twitch, who is K9. Now, honestly, I got audio that he walked into the site in this position. However, he didn't end up challenging me whatsoever. He actually rotated into Master. And I believe he ends up trying to pick up Bomb through Solar, if I'm not mistaken. My teammates start giving pings. And he ends up rotating over to the closet, like in front of the closet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to slow walk up to him. And then I'm going to swing him aggressively. I'm going to sprint towards him when he doesn't have any time to get off the plant, and we're going to get ourselves a free kill to secure the round right there. But anyway, guys, that's going to pretty much do it for the main commentary that I wanted to do with Rook. Honestly, I think with Rook that you should always be trying to use his utility in some type of way. So like whether that's impacts, proxies, or observation markers, that's pretty much like the main idea that you guys need to have, is you want to use those in relation to whatever site you're about to play. And like I said, the ACOG is really, really strong for taking gunfights, so definitely try to play those long-range gunfights with the ACOG. I do think it's very, very strong and definitely worth it. The other thing I do quickly want to mention is that with the Rook armor, you get a little bit of extra health. I believe it's 20 extra health, which is really nice because sometimes if people try to body shot you, it just gives you that one extra bullet to tank, and you can sometimes just survive fights that you normally wouldn't. So Rook overall is just a really nice pick. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and have some extra gameplay examples here. If you want to see some more Rook gameplay, please let me know. If you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like on the video and also subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!
One op 4 remaining. Op 4 eliminated. Mission successful.
Strat. Maybe I could have played Legion again. Oh well.
Op 4 has located a bomb.
This might be a bad decision by me, but I'm gonna do it. I assume these guys are going to be nowheres. That's my assumption. I don't even know where he went. I'm not gonna chase it. No way. Oh, I got lucky. Pretty sure there's an ash over here somewhere. That aim.
One friendly operator remaining. One op 4
Oh!
remaining.
No way.
Victorious.
No way I just won that round like that. No way.